Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the Offside Rule on the first 11. My name is Yannicka. I'm a Man City fan, and I'm joined by Charlotte, who is a Chelsea fan, and Joyce, who is a Chelsea fan. We also have Lam coming in, who is a Chelsea fan, so I'm pretty surrounded. But yeah, every week there'll be different fans, all female, from different clubs, and we're going to just have a review of the Premier League week. So this week we'll look at the midweek games and results, and then we'll go on to the weekend, the fixtures, and what we think the results will be. So obviously you girls are very happy, beating Spurs 1-0. So Shal, what did you think of the game? How did you find it?
I mean, I'm happy we won. I can't even take the fact that I'm happy we've won. However, there are way too many chances that we had that weren't taken or silly mistakes. For example, Kovacic, thinking he's a striker. He's not. Someone needs to tell him he's not. Someone needs to be like, excuse me, hon, you're not a striker. Mount on the right-hand side. He was free. The man was free. He was going, hello, like, unless Kovacic needs to go to Specsavers, he should have seen that. And that could have been 2-0. That's the only issue I have, is the fact that it should have been more than 1-0. That was my only problem. The way we played, fabulous. Our attacking style was banging. Tuchel has revolutionised us. Actually, he's just not Lampard. That's literally my only problem. Like, I'm not even playing here today. I mean, it's literally the only problem was that we should have had more goals. That was my problem. And it was just silly mistakes that were made. Like, that's literally it. I can't criticize anything else but the fact that silly mistakes were made, that we should have had more than one goal.
Yeah, fair enough. How did you find it, Joyce? Do you agree?
I think, like, I'm happy that we won. Obviously, like, beating a rival is always good. I just think there's still a bit of work to be done with Chelsea. Like, we were pressing them really well. Every time they got the ball, we counter-pressed them really, really well. Like, Jorginho and Kovacic actually had a pretty decent game. Hudson-Odoi, the right-hand side was, like, fantastic. Like, Davies, oh my God, I'm so sorry to that man. he's going to be crying a lot when he goes home today. But I just think, for me, we were really, really toothless in the final third. For a team that, like, suffocated Spurs as much as we did in the first half, we should have been like 2-3 goals up. And the fact that our only goal was a penalty, I think, says a lot about, like, our final third decision making. Like, even especially when Spurs came back in the second half, like, they came back and they were pressing a lot better, not loads better, but they were actually pressing. They actually tried to get a foot into the game, and then we kind of, we looked a bit rattled, I think, for a little bit. But yeah, good win, but we can do better, basically.
Yeah, but this second half, this last point of the game, like, we've had this issue for a while. This isn't like a brand new issue. It's always that final pass that we are struggling with. Like, we can get into the box, not a problem. We saw that tonight. That's not even a problem. But it's that final pass to get it in the goal that we seem to struggle with. We seem to be incapable of. Like, I don't know what it is, but we literally can't do it. And I don't know why. I'm not really sure how we change it, because everything else is getting better. Literally, you can see improvement in every other area, like our attacking performance, counter-attacking. Like, everything is great, but it's just this final pass that has been going on for so long. And I don't really know if, like, a new striker will help. Like, I don't know how you change it, because right now what's working isn't working, and Tuchel's switching it up enough. So I don't really know how you change it or what to do anymore when it's been going on for so long, because this has been going on since Lampard.
Yeah. I think, you know what I would say, though? A lot of teams have kind of struggled with that. Like, even City at the start of the season, like, we were like that. We were playing the ball. Obviously, we always have a lot of possession, but the final pass just wasn't good enough, or the final pass was decent, but then, they were just missing open nets and stuff like that. So I think this season's been a bit like that for everyone. I know Liverpool fans are complaining.
Oh, yeah.
Their attackers aren't doing what they need to do. So I don't know if it's because it's like COVID and people are tired and there's so many games. I don't know, but it seems to be like everyone kind of has that problem. Like City has got better in recent weeks, but you know, before that, we had to have like 10 chances to score 2. Like, you know, so I don't know.
I get that. I get that. But I think when you're going like, when the problem's like nearly before, like realistically, this problem started before this season. Like, I'm not even gonna lie here. It started before this season. Like, and I feel like everyone's kind of grown into their situation. Like Man City, look at you guys now. Like, that's the Man City that most people know and actually are concerned about. Like, even Liverpool are scoring goals, even though they're playing shit. I'm not saying all the time, but they're still getting those goals. Like, and if they get those goals, they're getting 2 or 3. Like, we when was the last time we had a 2-3-0 in the Premier League that was actually quite decent and that wasn't under Lampard? Like, I don't remember it. Like, and everyone's going to be like, oh, but we beat West Ham. But it wasn't a decent beating of West Ham. We didn't beat them. We was lucky. Like, we got 1 goal and Declan Rice nearly got another. And we was just really lucky until the 75th minute. And our team actually decided to turn up again and actually be a Chelsea team and get 2 more goals. That was it. Like, now we're playing consistency. I want to see that consistency go through to the goals. Because right now I'm not seeing that. And I'm not taking away from the performance that they had tonight. The only criticism is that like final pass, which is bugging me for ages. Like, man, I don't ask for much. I just ask for 2 or 3 goals. I really don't ask for much. But like 1 goal, add 1 goal, add 1, 3 goals maximum. I'm not even asking for like a 9-0. I'm asking for like a 2 or 3-0. Don't think that's too much to ask. Apparently it is, but you know.
Do you know what though? I do get you, because I think sometimes like that free header that they had near the end, like really and truly, they should have scored that. So you kind of, in the end, it was lucky that sort of Spurs weren't on form, and that free kick, obviously Dyer took it. So like,
oh my god, that was embarrassing. Like, why did Dyer even take it? Like, who asks Eric Dyer? Eric Dyer, the man that no one wants to be. When I see Eric Dyer in the England team, I'm like, nah, please, no, leave. Like, Eric Dyer is the man you want to run away from. Like, he's the man that you want to be like, no, hon, you are not taking this. It's like, why are you taking this? You can't even do well in your job. Why are you taking to try and get a goal? You're not going to get it. You're blatantly not going to get it. And it's also like Son's goal at the end. I mean, someone might have to tell him he wasn't playing rugby, because I thought he was heading to kick it over the post. I was like, Son, you're not playing rugby, hun. I was like, no.
I'll just grab some of the. I will just get to some of the comments before we move on. Strip Bear says, "Come on, Chelsea, big up to her." Shadow Elu says, "Spurs, bruv, I'm with you on that. Don't like Spurs." S. Beatley, big up to him, says, "Hey guys, make sure everyone likes and subscribes. I shared the stream." Thank you.
Yeah.
If you're watching now, like the video. If you're watching on Periscope, jump over to YouTube, like the video, and then you can jump back and share it on your stream, if on your Twitter, if possible. Jose CFC says, "Come on, Chelsea." Jem, up to Jem, says, "Yes, ladies."
Yes,
like button, people. Jose also says, "Big up to the ladies, big up to you." Winter Surfer says, "Like and share the video and support these awesome football fans. They're going to have a great show." Thank you very much. Strip Bear says, "Bank gently." It's obviously about Chelsea. Flawless, big up to Flawless. Big up to Yan City out here hosting multiple shows, shining. He said,
yes, Jan.
Abdi's hating. So I'm not even going to read this comment out. Realistic Gunner Larry, big up to him, says, "Mofos, oh, Jorginho, an apology." Just saying.
Charlotte, you especially.
I'm even giving him an apology, man. He's had 1 good game and people are like, giving him an apology. Give him an apology. And then when he plays shit the next game, you guys owe me an apology. So no, I'm not giving anyone apology. I don't apologize for my opinions. If you don't like my opinions, no. My opinion on Jorginho. And what? 3 good games out of how many this season? 3 good games out of how many this season?
Okay,
Actually,
okay.
it hasn't been 3 games. It was 2 because the Wolves game, he was slowing the ball down. His side passing was incredibly stupid. Man was slowing the game down.
What do you think of Jorginho, Joy?
I don't love him. I don't hate him. I think he's an okay midfielder. I think he gets a lot of stick for a lot of things that aren't always his fault. But I do think that he's basic. He doesn't massively improve our side.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, we worry because when we have him in the team, that we worry that we'll get caught on like transition, and that he's not super athletic, and people always talk about his sideway passes, but he does have a good like passing range. I think today he was really good. I mean, he didn't have too much work to do against that Spurs side, but him and Kovacic and Mount actually dealt with like Dombele like really well. So not too many complaints from me today, to be honest. He's just not my favourite.
See, I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think he's suited for Chelsea. Like, his style of play is not suited for Chelsea. And I'll say this to the day I die. He is not suited for Chelsea. His style of play isn't suited. If Tuchel wants his one ball, like his one touch football, Jorginho isn't the man for that. And that's not being horrible. It's just a fact. He's not. Like, Jorginho likes to take his time on the ball, side pass, take his time on the ball, front pass, take his time on the ball. Like, it's all stuff I don't have time with. Like, he's not a one-touch football kind of guy. He's not a bad player. I've never said that. He's just not suited for Chelsea.
Fair enough. Indiana's trolling. He says West Ham are still the best side in London.
Oh,
nah, Indiana, come on, man. You know what? Get them to win a Champions League.
Get them to win anything.
Taylor says, "Hey girls, couldn't be my club with the 1-0, 9-0 wonders we are." We'll touch on that in a minute. Realistic Gunner says, "Man City gone clear, can pop the champers by March." It's way too early. I'd love to think that we have, but we haven't yet. Indiana says, "God forbid Liverpool do a job on them this weekend. We never win at Anfield, so they're definitely getting a point."
Liverpool would have to
Brighton,
actually turn up.
So.
Liverpool would actually have to turn up for you to lose, and they haven't been turning up. So I'm assuming you've got this. So if your team could just beat them, that would be great, because they haven't been turning up. I've been asking where Klopp is.
Anfield form has been really bad recently as well.
Yeah, but everyone used to be so scared of Anfield. Like, Anfield was the place that you were so like, you're like, no, I'm worried about it. And now you go to Anfield and you're like, Brighton, Burnley, West Brom, like, all these teams are like, they're just going to walk all over your stadium, trash it. Like, who are you? Like, you're not Liverpool. This isn't Anfield. Like, we own you. Like, they come into Liverpool's house and they rain on their parades. I'm like, that is what you call doing a Drogba. That's a Drogba move for me. That's what I call doing the Drogba. That's what Drogba used to do to Arsenal.
Do you know what?
That's fans as well, though.
Yeah. Fans.
I think fans are having a big effect. Yeah.
And I think what it is as well is it's like, if a team are hard to beat at a certain stadium, so like Man United used to be really hard to beat at Old Trafford. So people kind of went there, and in their heads, before they've even kicked off, they're thinking, I'll settle for a point here. But because Burnley went to Anfield and won, Brighton are thinking, well, if Burnley can win there, why can't we? So I'm not sure Brighton win that game, regardless of how Liverpool play, if Burnley don't beat them the week before. So it's interesting, but our record at Anfield is bad. That season where Mahrez missed that penalty, we completely outplayed Liverpool. It was the best game I've ever seen at Anfield from us, and we still didn't win. So I'll know by half time whether we're going to win it, but yeah, I just don't trust Anfield. It's crazy. We'll get Lambs in now. On Chelsea.
Yes,
all the Chelsea guys are here today.
I'm so sorry I'm running late, guys. Hey, Jan, Charlotte, boys, Bobby. Oh my God, we won 3 points.
We didn't have to drink. We didn't have to drink.
They were terrible, though. Absolutely shocking. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm surprised it was only 1-0. Like, we should have scored more. And what annoys me, again, is that Mason Mount has been named man of the match when the guy has bluffed how many chances? How many chances did he have?
Oh my God.
Thank
This
you.
loss is
I'm
not
not-
Mason Mount.
Man of the match, though. This is the man of the match. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. He wasn't man of the match. He was a good player in this game, but he was not man of the match. Not
Who was
saying
man
he's
of the
a bad
match for you
player.
guys then?
I would give it to Kovacic, actually, or maybe Jorginho. Like, our midfield was very, very good. Reece James had a shout in the first half, but I felt like he dropped off a little bit in the second half.
Yeah.
Timo Werner got the penalty, but again, still no goals. I would give it. I would give it to Jorginho or Kovacic, one of the midfielders, basically, not Mason Mount.
Yeah, so we were talking about Jorginho. What's your thoughts on Jorginho? Because Charlotte doesn't really like him too much, but Joyce says he's a good player, but doesn't fit. No, I think Charlotte was saying he doesn't fit in the Chelsea system. So what do you think?
I was so mad, Jan. He's gonna start. He's gonna, like, Tuchel likes him, so he's gonna start.
Yeah.
It's gonna be captain Jorginho. So I'm so sharp. I'm with you because I agree. I think he's too slow. We've seen enough of Jorginho to know exactly what kind of player he is, and in terms of the way he dictates the midfield and sprays the ball and passing and stuff like that, it suits him to be in control of the tempo of the game. And for him, what suits him is a slower tempo of the game. And I just don't think that's what Chelsea, that the system that we play in, I just don't think it brings out the best in him. I feel like Jorginho would be a good player I feel like he'd fit in Manchester City's midfield perfectly. I feel like he'd probably even fit in Liverpool's midfield maybe, but just Chelsea, the way we play, it annoys me when I'm looking at him and I'm saying pass the ball forward, like there's Callum Hudson-Odoi in the wing, there's Pulisic on the other side, or there's Werner down there through the middle, and he just passes sideways or backwards, and I'm just like, why? It happens time and time again, and there's been a long enough time period now where we can say, okay, we know what he is, and I don't like it.
But you know
he's
what?
passing more progressively though.
My problem is with Jorginho is that he's gonna turn out like it's gonna be like a Lampard situation again.
When he comes up against City, because basically all Tottenham were doing pretty much what Burnley and Wolves are doing the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Low block defending, okay? So we've had literally like the same kind of setup to deal with for the last 3 games under Tuchel. When Jorginho comes up against Liverpool or City,
oh yeah, that transition is going to kill him.
Exactly. And this is why, and this is when people are going to see what me and Charlotte and even Jem and people have been saying about Jorginho for ages. Like he will be turned over by their midfield, especially City's.
But then doesn't it depend on the game?
I can't deal with this again. No, but I can't deal with this again. This is like Lampard. I'm going to become an alcoholic again. I'm going to start drinking because Jorginho's playing in every game. And then every fan's going to cuss me out because I'm cussing out Jorginho, just like it happened with the Lampard situation. Isn't that right, Lambs? Me and you, like, we talked about this. And, like, it's going to be like we're cussing out Jorginho. We're not cussing him out. We're just saying he's not suited. He needs to go bye-bye. I wouldn't care if he left right now. I really wouldn't. But, I mean, we're speaking the truth. But when all you fans who believe in him, you carry on. You wait. When he plays against City, United, someone with a different tactic, even Liverpool. Like, I'm sorry.
So all that means is that he's not suited to all the different type of games.
He's going to be like a little fishy against a big shark. I'm done.
I wouldn't have surfaced then. So Charlotte, just stick to wine tasting.
Yeah, that I agree with.
I'll just ask before we move on from Chelsea. What are your thoughts on Tuchel? Because what I've seen so far, you look better than you looked under Lampard. Like there seems to be, you've at least got a sort of system. Obviously, he's trying to find out his players at the moment. That's why he's not going to have his set squad. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think of him so far?
I think he's great. I think he's absolutely well. From what I've seen so far, there was obviously a problem with Lampard because if you compared to like the Leicester game compared to the Wolves game, like we had more creativity. We actually looked like we wanted to attack. We played a whole. Listen to this. We played a whole 90 minutes and we didn't die off. We didn't die off. We were doing that with Lampard. We were dying off with Lampard. We were playing the 20 minutes of the first half, dying off. Second half, 75th minute, we decided to turn up again. Oh, Tuchel comes in. We play 90 minutes straight. You know, that is the impossible, you know. He has done the impossible. Like, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying he's perfect at all, but the improvements I'm seeing so far, our attack, our counter, we're actually counter-attacking, shockingly. Like, we're trying to smother them, like, shockingly. We're actually doing things. We're attacking. We're trying to get goals. Things that I haven't seen from Chelsea in a while. I think we've got a way to go. I also like the fact that Tuchel's in that, like, not everyone has a set space. Obviously, with Lampard, you had the predictability of him being in. You predicted who he was going to be in, and it was like, oh, Mount's going to be in, Mendy's going to be in. It'll be like Reece James, Zuma, Silva, like Chilwell. Like that's the basics. Like you were able to predict his starting, whereas now everyone has to fight for their place. Everyone has to turn up on that pitch and fight for their place. And I'm not even going to lie, I love that because I think it's going to bring the best out of a lot of players. Because no one's place is safe. Like, it's not just like, oh, yeah, you'll have a place every week. Don't worry. Like, dad and son, Lampard and Mount, it's no more. Like, Mount actually has to fight for his place, which I think could actually bring the best out in him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't just get it handed to him on a plate when he's like, Daddy, please can I have a spot in the starting 11? No, hun, you can't. You cannot. Like, you actually have to fight. I think it's going to bring the competitive side out in the players and actually give them something to fight for, which is what I like. And also, I can never predict what Tuchel's going to bring out. I mean, I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting this lineup. Like, I was expecting some of the players, but some of them I was like, okay, like you go ahead, hon. I wasn't expecting the lineup, which is what I like, because none of the teams can predict us anymore. You cannot predict us. So that makes us better.
Yeah, it's true. Big up to Bits and Babs in the chat. Bye. Yeah, Lambs, what's your take on how are you finding Tuchel so far?
Oh, brilliant. I mean, the contrast in the way we're playing compared to Lampard, it's so great to see. Like, you can even see some players that were so overshadowed and just didn't look happy and were so low in confidence suddenly is shining more. They're getting the opportunities. I mean, the disrespect that we were showing to Callum Hudson-Odoi under Lampard was shocking to me, quite frankly. I mean, there was a few times, especially when he came on as a substitute earlier on in the season, and he changed the game around for us. And I think he was the one that predominantly contributed to helping us get back into that 3-3 draw against West Brom as well, and so on and so forth from there. So why I'm sitting there thinking why this guy hasn't earned his place to start, it annoys me. Why Frank Lampard's sitting there playing players out of position, playing Mason Mount in literally every single position there is in the midfield and attacking positions, literally bar the goalkeeper in defence. It's ridiculous. We're seeing there's no creativity coming in the team. We spent literally £250 million or euros, and this guy doesn't know how to manage this squad. He doesn't know. He's not tactically intelligent. He's upsetting players. He's playing players out of position. He's stubborn with his formation. He doesn't have a plan B, C, D, whatever. And the contrast, literally, from the Leicester game to the Wolves game, you can almost see we're just pressing, attacking, just relentless with the attack. But the issue I have with Chelsea, and I can still see it now, is we're not being clinical enough. Now, whether Mason Mount is to blame for that, or Jorginho, or the different formations and the personnel, and the fact that Tuchel is still rotating the club, we'll see. But so far, first 3 games in charge, the guy's undefeated. I can't really complain. Like, this is what we needed. We needed a response. So I'm positive about him going forward, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I can see that I've not really watched Chelsea too much, but what I've seen so far, you look much better, especially going forward. Joyce, what's your take on Tuchel?
So I was like a bit skeptical, mainly because maybe I didn't know enough about him, and obviously like his time at PSG didn't end with like winning the Champions League and how he fell up with the board, etc., etc. But kind of Lampard aside, and just kind of looking at how he's been since he's been here, I think he's been quite fair. Like, he's kind of almost doing like an audit of like the whole team, like giving people a chance to kind of like let them in the side. He gave Chilwell a game. He's given Alonso like a chance to the side. Reece James has come on. Everyone's kind of getting the opportunity to come in and like stake a claim for their space in the side. And I think that that's been really good. I like the possession-based football that we're kind of playing. Like, this one touch is very fast. We're pressing, well. We're counter-pressing really well. And I think those are like the building blocks of hopefully like a really good Chelsea side. I don't think this 3, or I don't know if this 3 at the back is like what we're going to do long term. I just think it's something that suits, whilst he's figuring things out, I think it just suits the most players at the moment. I'm glad that like everyone said, like Hudson-Odoi's been given a chance, like given a run in the side, even if it's not like his preferred position. I think it's good that like he trusts him enough to play him, as a wing back, and then playing him further forward and that kind of thing. And he's someone with like experience. You can tell that he is someone who is, a tactician. He's done it with like multiple teams. He's worked with youth before, as well as experienced players, and really difficult environments, like somewhere like PSG with big superstars. So I'm like optimistic, because I really want Chelsea to become the side that people are scared of playing, because I feel like for the past few years, like that factor of like coming to Chelsea or coming to the Bridge is no longer. We're not a team that's like very like dangerous or very like lethal. It hasn't been like that for a few years, and I feel like hopefully under Tuchel I always say his name wrong, guys. Forgive me.
I just call him Tommy. Just call him Tommy.
Under Tuchel, I think we can kind of come back to that, but there is work to be done. But yeah, I'm optimistic.
Yeah. Fair enough. We'll move on to some of the other games now. So we'll start with Wolves 2, Arsenal 1. Did anyone watch that game?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I absolutely did. If I'm watching that, like Arsenal losing, of course I'm watching it.
Yeah. Did
That
you
was hilarious.
The David Luiz red card was a red card? Because I personally
No,
that's a red card.
but I'm confused because the Southampton red card was overturned, but the David Luiz red card wasn't. And I don't like Arsenal for as much as I can say. Like, them losing gives me a lot of pleasure. However, usually David Luiz knows he's done a red and he'll just walk off. But it just looks like he was running and he clipped him. Like, people can run and clip people, but I feel like he's been targeted because he's got a few red cards under his sleeve. Like, he's had 3 red cards in 65 games for Arsenal. That's awful. He only had 1 red card in 206 Chelsea games. Like, the difference. I mean, he obviously is Agent Luiz still. Thank you, mate.
I don't know. Did you guys, Lambs, did you think it was a red card? Because I think it's a bit hard.
As much as funny as it is to just laugh at Arsenal because it's Arsenal. The first one, it wasn't a red card. I mean, I think it was a yellow at best. It was clumsy, and I feel like he does have to take responsibility because he allowed him to get in between, in behind him, and he was just lost for a second. So he put himself in that position where he made he tried to go for a clumsy challenge. He barely clipped him a little bit. It wasn't intentional. I think it's a yellow card. I don't think it's a red card. But then again, it's David Luiz, the referees are kind of looking at that thinking, oh, this guy again, like, and especially, I mean, that's 6 penalties he's given away, as well as the 3 red cards as well, from signing fouls. So again, the guy has that reputation. So, play goes down in the box. David Luiz is the defender. Okay, probably a red card and a penalty, isn't it? So, I think they're a bit unfair.
I can't thank him enough though. He did give us a penalty and like a red card last time we played at the bridge. So I can't thank him enough.
Same to you, Jan. Gave you guys a penalty as well.
Exactly. You've got to appreciate good talent.
The bad leg was a red card. I don't know.
I don't know what he was doing either.
I think the issue isn't the red card, though. I think the issue is the rules of the Premier League, because when the refs were talking about justifying it, they said the reason that it was a red card was because he prevented the goal-scoring opportunity without getting the ball. And basically, if he had tried to aim for the ball and absolutely clattered him, he would have got a yellow because he was trying to get the ball. So I feel like the interpretation of the rules is the problem. Do you know what I mean? Because under the rules, he stopped him from, even if it was an accident, they don't care about whether it's an accident or not. He stops him from, having a goal scoring opportunity by clipping him. So it was a penalty and a red. I just think the application of the rule is stupid, and it doesn't make sense, because if you look at that context, you're like, obviously it wasn't on purpose, but they could justify it through the rules that they have. So I don't know. I just think our refs are horrible.
And then again, could you argue the Harry Maguire challenge on Lacazette in their game against Manchester United, and I didn't even get a yellow card? That was intentional. That was clearly intentional. He meant to do what he did.
Of course it was. It's Harry Maguire.
So again, we have to start questioning the consistency with the energy in terms of making these. They don't question for all the teams.
I'm questioning whose team's got VAR in their pocket right now, because if you look at Man United, and Man United have their Harry Maguire. He had a shot at studs up. I'm confused how that's not a red card. There can't be one rule for one team and one rule for another team when Man United are obviously paying VAR to give them every decision. Or if Bruno Fernandes goes down with a little flick, it's like, penalty. Hold on, hon, you can have a penalty. It does look shady that they seem to have a lot of VAR decisions go their way. And realistically, I might not get all the statistics, but to me, it looks like United get a lot of them. Maybe other teams do too, but as far as I'm concerned, United are the bigger team, the ones that seem to get them all going their way, which kind of concerns me a little bit, because Harry Maguire's was definitely a red.
Leicester win a lot of penalties as well.
A lot. But if they're going to give penalties to some and not others, then they need to explain why. The FA the Football Association needs to come out and explain why. Someone needs to give me an explanation as to why Harry Maguire's wasn't a red card. They need to give me a blunt primary school explanation as to why I'm not wrong, because I'm right. I'm right. So
that's
someone
what people were saying with VAR, because they brought VAR in, which I was all for in the beginning. Because I was like, it's going to make the game more fair. Sometimes the ref will miss something. I thought they can go back. They can look at it and then make the right decision. But there's 2 problems with it. The first one is that it's almost like it's being manipulated in the way they want. Because sometimes they'll make a wrong decision, they'll look at the camera and then make it again. Like that Man United penalty. To me, that was a dive. They looked at the screen, they saw it's clearly a dive, and then gave it anyway. So it's kind of it's being manipulated in the wrong way. And I think people always say, don't blame VAR, blame the refs, because it's the referees that are looking at it and still making the wrong decision. And in City's game, I don't know if you watched it, but there was what I thought was a clear penalty on Gabby, and they didn't give it. And it's just I'm not complaining, because we have had decisions maybe that we shouldn't have had in early games this season, but I just think it's so inconsistent because if Man United go down the way Gabby went down, they get a penalty all day long. And it's not fair that people are getting penalties for diving and other teams, clear pens, are just being waved off. And, you know, Southampton have been robbed twice in a week. Like, both games. I'm not saying, obviously, they weren't going to get beat because Man United smashed them. But some of them decisions in that game were just a little unfair. And it's not like they needed help winning. They were already winning. There was no need for the ref to give them a penalty and, you know, send a man off. And obviously it's been overturned now, which is the right decision. But, you know, it wouldn't have been 9-0 if they don't send him off. So
yeah, but I'm questioning why the ref hasn't been called up to be like, why did you give this decision? That would be my question. If a decision is overturned or you can blatantly see a decision is wrong, I would blatantly be calling that ref up on TV being like, well, you can explain, you can deal with this shit. It's not my job. I'm not your personal slave. Like, you can deal with the consequences, or at least get them to, like, I think if there's controversy with like any kind of VAR, I think the ref or the person behind VAR should give an explanation as to why. Because some of these VARs are so ridiculous, and I kind of feel like VAR is spoiling football a little bit at the minute. Like, for me, it's not fun because I get to football and I'm like, VAR comes on and I'm like, oh, not again. Like, please don't. Like, it doesn't become fun anymore when you see like a goal being checked and you're like, was that? This is the part that I miss. Is the old school football where there was controversy when a ref said yes or no and there wasn't any technical shit involved. That's the decisions I miss, because you used to have banter with all these fans being like, yeah, it was right, yeah, it was wrong. Like, I used to like that. Now it's just like, VAR, no thank you, bye. Like, I don't want it.
What do you guys say to like them possibly, you know, when they're going to VAR, play in those conversations so we, like, as the viewers, can hear what they're saying, like, and how they're explaining it, so we understand, okay, the game's being stopped, you're talking back and forth, you're going through review screens. Let us understand what is it you're discussing, what are you saying, what are your thoughts on it? So
they do it in cricket, and I think
they
American
do
football and maybe even rugby. There's a few sports
they do it in rugby and cricket. But you know what? I think I just get really aggy. I just get really aggy hearing these conversations, knowing they were wrong, and then I just like, I don't know. I think it would make me more annoyed to understand the process of their stupidness, because I don't understand how their brains work, and I'm not listening to the conversation. So I'm listening to the conversation, and they're just absolutely, I don't understand how they're calling it. Then I'm going to be like, how are you even in charge of VAR? Like, this is a big, big, big responsibility. If your brain can't work properly, then maybe you shouldn't be in charge.
Big up to Prime, by the way. He says, yes, ladies, killing it. Do you know what I think it is, though? I think, like, for me, it's ruined the game, because I used to go to football and celebrate goals. And now, like, you can't even celebrate. You're, like, looking to see what the referee's doing. Then you kind of half celebrate. And then you wait for the VAR check over, and then you properly celebrate. And it has ruined it. Like, it's not too bad when you're watching on TV. But in the stadium, it's terrible, because there's no replay. They don't show you anything on the screen. So you just wait, and then it's, like, ruled out offside. And it's like, didn't look offside to me. Like, it's madness. But I don't know.
It's also when you've celebrated a goal, when you're watching it in the stadium, you've celebrated a goal, and then all of a sudden this offside pops up, and you're like, but I've just spent all this energy celebrating a goal, and you want to tell me that it's offside, and then I just want to go up and find the
wicket, isn't it? Like, looking at your neighbours like, huh?
No, it's so embarrassing, because people find out bit by bit. So, like, I remember that Sterling goal against Tottenham, and we were celebrating like crazy, obviously.
Oh yeah, because
people were like VAR, and then everyone was like looking at them bit by bit. Everyone was like so mad. Like, it's really bad, because like I used to like I've always been a bit cautious. So like I would look at the linesman, see if his flag was down, and then celebrate. Whereas now it's like you can't even do that because whether the flag's up or down, it
doesn't matter.
They need to get rid of these flag people, these linesmen. Bye, see you later. Like you are not important because you can do your flag all you want, but if VAR coming in there like, no, you're wrong. What is your point? What is your job?
No.
Like, why are you relevant? You're not relevant to me. Like your flag doesn't mean anything anymore. It used to.
Yeah, true.
That flag used to mean something. It doesn't anymore. And I'm not being horrible, but like, what is their point anymore? Because they can flag offside or they can not flag offside. And then all of a sudden it's offside and there's no goal. And I'm like, well, I'll be damned. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah, because Sian Massey, she did it the other day. She was waving the flag. But obviously, like, I've always thought from knowing football, like, you play to the whistle, regardless of what the linesman is doing or the lineswoman is doing.
Yeah.
And obviously, she was waving it, but the way she was waving it, she was distracting the players. So some of them stopped, and then Cancelo put a fantastic goal. But I did feel a bit tight because I was thinking, like, even though West Brom should always play to the whistle, the way she was waving it is distracting. Like, some of the players actually stopped, and I just thought, and then they gave it anyway because it was onside. But it is a bit, their job is a little bit pointless at the moment because, like you say, they just get overruled, and VAR can manipulate it the way they want as well, which is not good, you know, because they show you that frame. But how do you know that's the actual frame or that was a few seconds before? Like, you just don't know, and they can just manipulate it the way they want. But we'll get into some of the other results. So, obviously, there was Wolves, Arsenal, so Arsenal lost. Man United 9, Southampton 0. Obviously, we touched on the sort of dodgy decisions in the game. But yeah, I didn't watch it all, to be honest. But
I fell asleep.
You know, Arsenal fans talk about corruption. That was corruption. That was corruption.
Literally.
Unfortunately, on behalf of Southampton, but that was corruption.
Yeah,
I think you have to give United credit, though.
I don't even want to give them credit. I don't even want to talk about. I don't even want to acknowledge.
I think you should.
I'm not even going to
credit.
I mean, so what? They got 9-0. That's a cool story. Congratulations. Like, end of discussion. Like, I've given you my congrats. That's cool. I fell asleep halfway through the match. That's how interested I was. Like,
I mean, to be fair to United, and this is where Southampton do have to take responsibility. Other teams go down to 10 men and you don't capitulate because let's forget before Bednarek got sent off, they were like 5-0. It was 5-0 already at that point. So you've already conceded 5 goals after going down to 10 men. So already the mentality is like you just fall into pieces. So, and let's now start questioning Hasenhüttl because this is the second time in a year, because it's pretty much been a year, that the same team has conceded 9 goals to 2 different oppositions. You have to start questioning, what is it about when the red card happens that you just fall apart?
What can he do if his player's heads drop? Like, that's not all on him necessarily.
No.
And if you're down to, like, by the time they get down to like 9 men, you can't even do damage control at that point. Like, what are you supposed to do? I just felt bad for him.
But they didn't get 9 men until like the last 3 minutes. I mean, they had 10 men and you've got to put up some sort of fight. You can't just, because you've lost a player, like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to give up now. You know what? We've only got 10 men. Let's just let Man United score all the goals in the world. I'm not going to fight back. Like, that's not the mentality. You come out fighting whether you've got 10 men or not. Like, 10 men, 11 men, I don't care. You come out and you give it your all, and they weren't giving 100%. They genuinely weren't, and I like it. It was bad to watch because it was so easy for Man U to get past them, and Southampton can play really well. They genuinely can, and to watch them play like that was embarrassing. I was like, I feel sorry for all these Southampton fans. I was like, God bless their souls.
Yeah, it was bad. They didn't. they just collapsed from the beginning. Do you know what I mean? I know the player got sent off early, but like you say, there's been other teams where players have gone up and they've still, I understand when you've got 9 men, it's a little bit different. But yeah, 10 men is not that. They shouldn't be losing by that deficit just because they shouldn't be losing 5-0 at half time, whatever it was.
I mean, Arsenal went down to 9 men, but they didn't concede. They lost by 1 goal, so they didn't concede.
Yeah. But that's because Arsenal were playing much better than Wolves were.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same though, because when Wolves were playing Arsenal, Wolves were sitting really, really deep. If they were 11th side, Arsenal would have absolutely spun them. Southampton and Man United fielded a better side. Their players performed. Pretty much all of their players. Bruno was a bit. I don't know. He's Bruno. That's United's fans' problem. But they were a better side and they outperformed them. Like what at that point, what can you do? It's not the same game.
We can't even really judge Southampton because the guy got sent off so early. It's just like, oh, okay, well that was it. It was over before it started, really.
Yeah.
So
Taylor
sorry, carry on.
Go on. No, I was going to say, Taylor says, let's not forget we went down 10 men against Spurs and lost 6-1. We got slated, yet Southampton lost a man and got praised for losing 9-0. I don't think got praised.
Exactly.
They're already losing like 2-1.
Yeah.
Like Spurs were already outplaying them when they still had 11 men on the pitch. And the frustration was what was getting to them. They had like one chance where Bruno put a through ball in literally early, like the first minute of the game. And that was it. That was the last spark we saw from United. They just vanished for the rest of the game and Spurs took over. So, I mean, to be fair, like they were already losing and they weren't even performing. Spurs were already outplaying them when they both had 11 men on the pitch. So, and when you went down to 10 men, the mentality just capitulated. So they deserved what they got. That was a good...
Tuchel's just updated us on Silva.
Okay.
He's going to the hospital tomorrow. His leg is now strapped up. They think it's a muscle injury, and he's really worried because it's that severe.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Just in time for Atletico Madrid.
Why did we do this?
You're telling me I'm fuming. I've never been more fuming in my life. Let me tell you, tomorrow on loan. Oh yeah, it's a great idea. Well, now who's come to backfire? Let me tell you, Zuma best be fit. Zuma best get his best gear on, must turn up like he turns up for France World Cup and bloody turn up. Let me tell you, Rudiger, he better turn up too. Like, this is not what we need just before Atletico Madrid. Yeah, let's just get to Thiago Silva, one of the most experienced defenders and probably our best player, like one of our best players. Let's go get him injured. Yeah.
The good thing is, we do still have a couple games before the Atletico Madrid, and these are all quite winnable games for us as well. So if we manage to, and like I said, if we pick up like maximum points coming up into the Atletico Madrid, let's hope Thiago Silva isn't out for too long. Let's hope it's just a precaution. Let's hope he's just going into hospital for like a scan or something.
I bloody hope so.
But
Indiana trolling in the comments. He says being out of the Champions League will help you get top 4.
I mean, is it helping you get top 4, Indiana? I mean, is it helping you?
Are they even in the Champions League?
No, they're in the Europa League.
Thursday night football, Indiana. Thursday night
football. You enjoy that, hon.
Sheffield United, we've got Barnsley in the FA Cup. Then we've got Newcastle and Southampton in the league. So these are all games right before we come up against Atletico Madrid. So these are all winnable games, to be honest. Then if we run up until Atletico, but then after Atletico Madrid, we have United, we have Everton, we have Leeds, we have Atletico Madrid again, and then we have Liverpool.
That's the worst part. You know what? I would have happily we could have just stopped there at just before the first Atletico Madrid game. I was quite happy with that, you know. Really? Yeah, I'm not mentally prepared. I'm like ready to have a breakdown now. I am done like that after the Atletico Madrid. Like, no, thank you. Can we just
how do you feel about Liverpool, especially after we saw what happened with Brighton?
Yeah, we can go on to Liverpool now. They obviously lost 1-0 to Brighton. I watched the game. I thought Liverpool didn't look good at all, to be honest.
Shit.
And Brighton didn't look great going forward. So they could have had, in a more clinical team, they could have got beat by a higher score than they got beat by. They were quite wasteful the other end. Salah missed a chance or two. Didn't look that great. With Liverpool, like I've said all season that I can't see their form kind of lasting, this bad form lasting the whole season. But you know, every time you think I would have put money on 6 points from Burnley and Brighton at Anfield. Like I would have put my money on it, and it didn't look like they were going to lose them, and then they went and lost both. Their record against City at Anfield is really, really good. So I'm not actually expecting to go there and win, just because they played better against the better sides this season than they have against the bottom half of the table. So, yeah, I'm hoping we can win, but I don't know. I think they don't look the same Liverpool. I know they've got a lot of injuries, but the system doesn't seem to be working as well as it does. Like a lot of Liverpool fans are saying Klopp doesn't have a plan B. So it's kind of, someone else said they've got found out a little bit. So there's like a few things. I still think they'll be up there. I can't see them finishing like outside the top four. But yeah, what do you girls think? Do you think they'll finish top four, or do you think they'll drop out?
I think they'll finish not top four. I do not think they're going to finish top four if they don't buck up their ideas. If they buck up their ideas, then carry on. But right now, this Liverpool looks like your Brighton, Burnley, like West Brom, like you're losing to bottom half teams. Like, do you know what? The next nail in the coffin is going to be they're going to lose to Sheffield. I'm never going to be so excited in my life. Never. You know, never. Because I can see that happening. Because they just look deflated. Their defence, non-existent. Their midfield, non-existent. There's maybe like 2-3 players out of 11 that are kind of trying to do something, but failing miserably. Like, and that's it. Like, I feel like if I was a champions team, like if I'd won the Premier League and I was champions, like current champions, I'd want to be proving why I'm current champions, like Man City did for 3 years in a row, that Liverpool are failing to do. Like, it's like Liverpool have won this Premier League, first one in 30 years, and they're like, yeah, I mean, why do we need to bother anymore? Like, we've won that one in 30 years, we can win another one in 30 years. Like, that's not the mentality. Like, just because you got Van Dijk injured and Matip injured, that doesn't mean anything. Just because you have 2 players injured, that doesn't mean anything. You still have the squad and the quantity to turn up, and you're not. So that's my question. Like, is it Klopp? Is there something going on backstage? Like, because this is turning into like I'm not saying as bad as, but it's a similar situation to Lampard, because the players just don't look like they're turning up, which is a concern, because you're like, why? Has something happened? Is there an argument? If so, if there's an argument, I want to know what it is. I want to know all the details. I want to know who's arguing with who, because blatantly there is some kind of tension going on, because it's not normal. Even Klopp, when he gives his interviews, he just looks deflated. The man looks exhausted. He looks like he's like pre-breakdown, like he's ready to be like padded cell, white straitjacket, being like rocking, like, nah, no Liverpool, no thank you.
I think it's just because it's kind of like not working, because I know, like, when we won the league with the Centaurian season, like, everyone said, oh, you're not the best team till you kind of win it back to back. You need to win it again. You need to retain it. And City did. And then, like, the barriers moved again. And then Liverpool won it. And everyone's like, yeah, they're going to go back to back. And then I think they're just realizing now it's very hard to go back to back, because 1, everyone wants to beat the champions. 2, normally the way that you play to win the league kind of gets found out a little bit. So you have to change your system slightly, bring in new players. And, you know, I've had a lot of Liverpool fans over the years going on about City have spent this much and we spent that much. But, like, the reason why City and Chelsea spend so much money is to have a squad that can cope in every competition. Like, if City wanted to, we could have spent half the money and we'd be in Liverpool's position where we win one league title and then win, I don't know, a singular trophy in the next season. Like, City are trying to fight for all four. Chelsea, the same. That's what you go for, and that's what big do. Do you know what I mean? But Liverpool, they want to be in this conversation with the greatest teams ever, but you have to buy a squad that is deep. You can't just buy one player in each position. And they were very lucky that they didn't get injuries earlier. Because I said a few seasons before, I didn't think Liverpool would win the league last season. Because I thought these injuries that they're getting now would have happened last year. And I was saying, if they get them injuries, City that got the injuries. We kind of had Laporte out for a while, Aguero was out for a while. Like, we were the ones that were sort of injury hit rather than them. But yeah, it was bound to happen. That's why they need to spend more money, basically, if they want to compete at the top to stay. You know, they can win a league, so did Leicester. But to stay in the title contention every year, you have to spend money. So
yeah.
But I think
FSG are doing them really dirty, I think. Like, because they're a team, like, Klopp has come in. He's like, he's been in, like, 4 years now. And he's built this team up. He's been, like, you know, he's built this really good team, like, up for Liverpool. Won them a Champions League, won them a Premier League. If you have a guy that can come in and do that stuff for you, you give him what he's asked for. You spend the money so that he can continue to compete. And, like, you know, obviously, like, they've been very unfortunate with injuries. Like, it's not just been, like, Matip and what's his name? Van Dijk. Like, Fabinho's been out for bits. Like, Alisson's come in and out. Like, Jota, like, who they literally just bought him. He came in, was, like, banging goals in, like, taking Firmino out the side, and then he gets injured. So they have been really unfortunate with injuries. But also, if they had spent better and they'd actually reinforced their side and spent the money that Klopp, and, you know, like, if they'd bought a senior centre-back earlier on in the season, or like in the summer, like Klopp was asking for, maybe they're not in the same position that they are now. But also, I feel like, you know, their cycle is almost coming to an end. Like, they've played very high intense football for like 4 years. They've been, like you said, like really lucky with like not having any injuries, having most of their first team there, like most of the time, like most of, like, Mane, Salah, Firmino were playing almost every game for like the whole season. Really lucky to have that, because loads of teams will have them kind of their front three like come in and out. And now that that's all starting to unravel, I just think they can't handle it as well. It's just, and also they won the Premier League when they had 5 subs in the water break. Man, it didn't even count in the first game.
And they had a break. They had like a 3-month break. What team?
They were already really like they were well clear in terms of the points tally.
No, I'm not taking that away. They still had a break.
Because they took that battering to City, and I don't care any team who's worthy of being champions for that season. You don't take a battering like that. That's embarrassing. I don't care like if it's already secured, it's wrapped up, whatever. When City already knew that they were going to win the league and stuff, they didn't stop. They continued. They were like, okay, we want to break new records. Let's push to break that points tally, and they did do that. So. And this is the thing that kind of this is when I started questioning. I don't think Liverpool are going to have the mentality, the minerals to continue this title challenge. I think City were close. Were close last season. They were a bit unlucky at the start of the season. Then Liverpool kind of had a head start when City were having problems with their squad. And Liverpool basically they took the opportunity and they just went. Thank you very much. We're going to just sweep in there ahead of you. And before you know it, they were literally tearing ahead. Everybody, not even just City, everybody. So in that sense, we always knew City had a good enough squad to challenge them. And come this season, people forgetting, Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool are really anything without their fans. And you've seen it. Like, without their fans, they've suffered. Because even before they had these injuries, Virgil van Dijk and co., were all still in the squad when they took that 7-2 battering. So people are forgetting that. They think, injuries, this, that, COVID. Stop making excuses because. And now look, City City had a shaky start, and the only reason why they had a shaky start is because they were struggling to find goals in the beginning. Now look at them. They don't even need a striker. There's goals coming from midfield now, and the defense is the most solid defense in the Premier League. And I feel like other teams will challenge, but they don't have the minerals. They don't have City's squad depth. They don't have a top quality manager like City have. They don't have that mentality of constantly competing for all of these trophies consecutively year after year for the past literally like 3 or 4 years. So, and this is why I feel like Liverpool will fall short. So you can already see how rational Klopp is.
But I think you make a good point, Lambs, that like the fact is that when a team doesn't have fans, you learn more about the team than than you would any time else, because this is the time where the team really has to push forward because they haven't got any support. Like there's no one there cheering them on. There's no atmosphere. They have to play on their own accord. And I think you're really seeing who can turn up and who can't. And there's a few teams that aren't turning up, and Liverpool seems to be one of them. And you then question whether Anfield was good because of the fans and not actually because of the football. And that is my question, because I'm questioning now, was Anfield ever that good? Without the fans, it's not. Look what's happening. Anfield's it's like a council house. They're walking in, stepping all over it, and walking right back out again. Like
Burnley, Brighton.
Literally.
This is our turf now.
Like they're walking in, walking out like it's no one's house but theirs. Like if that was me, I'd be fuming. Like turn up. Like I don't get it. Like it's just without the fans, they seem to be a dead ass team. And I'm gonna say it quite bluntly right now. I have no shame in saying this. If you're not going to turn up without the fans, or what's the point? Like it is even Brighton are turning, even Brighton and Burnley. Brighton and Burnley are turning up. Like, well, I mean, they're turning up on your house, but I mean, they're still turning up.
Do you know what though? I think because I do think it would have been interesting last season if the title race was closer. Because I think Liverpool,
I would have loved to see that.
Because they weren't under pressure for so much of it, they kind of ran away with it. But I think if City were closer, I don't know how they would have handled it under pressure. Because I know in 2018-19, everyone was saying Liverpool are going to win it, Liverpool are going to win it. And then City had to win 14 games in a row at the end of the season. And I remember every week people messaging me, you're not going to beat Burnley. And then we beat Burnley. And then they were like, oh, you're not going to beat Leicester. I remember all the Liverpool fans were changing their pictures to Ashley Barnes and all these players to try and get them to beat City. And it just didn't happen. And I think if it was close last season, they say, you mentioned, Lambs, oh, we're not bothered about the 4-0. We'd already won the league, blah, 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 blah. But it's for me, they were on track to get 112 points at one stage. They should have beaten Man City's record of 100 points. Because when you're that clear, there's no reason why you should be dropping points like that. And I think they go on they're not bothered, but they went from being the record breakers, because people refer to City as the record breakers, because in that Centurion season, we broke loads of records. One of the ones we didn't beat was obviously the Chelsea defence, that 12 goals or 13 goals.
That's never getting beaten.
Yeah, which is unlikely. And we didn't break the Invincibles one. But a lot of the other ones were broken by City, and Liverpool were on track to beat all of them. And I think they only matched the 18 points between first and second. They matched that. So even that game between City and Liverpool that they're saying they're not bothered about, that record would have been broken because it was 18 points and City wouldn't have got the 3 points. So, yeah, I think they should have done better. Yeah, they should have done better in that season. So I don't know if they can handle pressure. We haven't seen it too much yet. When they were, even in the Champions League final, they were playing against Spurs. So I'm not saying Spurs couldn't have won it, but that squad haven't really won anything. So to go and win the Champions League as your first trophy, would have been unrealistic, I think. So they weren't under too much pressure, but every time they've been under pressure in the league, they've not come out on top. So I don't know. We're seeing it a little bit this season, but we'll move on to City quickly before we close up. I have to mention my team. We won 2-0. I was doing a watch along, so I kind of like was half. I can't multitask, so I was trying to like watch it. But I think we looked comfortable. We looked okay. Obviously, Gundogan being Gundogan, I love him at the moment. He was kind of flying.
So on the Midnight Vibe show, was it? Oh, it was David. David came up with like a name, Silky Ilky.
Yeah, that's what they used to call him, and they call him Man City at the moment. Call him Mr. Whippy.
I love it.
Yeah, I just call him Zinedine Gundogan, for banter. But yeah, I think obviously from what I saw,
he's actually turned up. Like the man's turned up. I was like, where did you come from? Like, hi, how are you? Like, you've turned up. Because he hasn't had the best of run, and now all of a sudden this form's gone on. When I say he's gone from like 0 to 100 in seconds, I was like, one match, he wasn't having a great match, and now he's like bloody making starting team lineups. I'm like, shit, where did you come from? Like, how did you do this?
Do you know what's mad? Like, because Gundogan's always been like a big game player. So if you look at his stats, he always scores against the big six and like in the Champions League. But like, I was actually saying at the start of the season, like, I love Gundogan, and everyone was like, whatever. And like, he's just been unreal this season. But what I do like about City is when like De Bruyne is out, the others do step up. We saw it in 18-19 when he got injured. They stepped up, and obviously now they've kind of stepped up again. Bernardo Silva looks like he stepped up. Raheem's getting a bit more into it now, so it's nice to see. I hope we can go win the league. I think we need to win it. It's been too long.
Must be nice.
One time, like, yeah, but I hope we can do it. What do you guys think of City? Because I know like we're kind of favourites at the moment. Do you think we'll do it, or
I want City to win. I want City to win. I want anyone but United, Liverpool, Spurs, Everton, Leicester, West Ham. I don't want any of these teams. I especially don't want them. Can you imagine if United win? Can you imagine the shit? I don't even want to. It's already started.
I don't know it.
So, Jan, I ask you this now. I beg of you this now. Please, City win. I can't deal with Man United fans.
Oh, no,
I genuinely can't. The one that's like, 21. Nah, Han. Finish.
You wouldn't see me on this YouTube thing. I'd be like, where's Yannicka gone now? Gone. I'm into cricket now. Like, no, there's just no way. Like, it was bad enough when I was younger, but now.
Patchian's content on her show covering cricket, NBA, anything.
Anything but City.
Oh, I do love cricket.
Watch alongs. I don't even like rugby. We're like, yeah, come on.
2 a.m. NBA watch-alongs.
Yeah. Before we go, quickly, who do you think the top 4 will be? Like at the end of the season.
Ooh.
Is this teams how they are now, playing how they are now to the finish, or they could step up? Because if they could step up, it's going to be different to if they're just playing as they are now.
Just whatever.
Consider like everyone's current positions in the table, the fact that we have just under half the season left to go. I don't know, I think we get back in there, to be honest. I think it's Manchester City, it's United. I think Leicester drop out. I think it's us in 3rd place and Liverpool in 4th place.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe?
Okay, I think my prediction might be a bit mad, but I think City will win, United will come 2nd, Leicester will be 3rd, and then Chelsea will come in 4th, and Liverpool miss out on top 4. If anyone cuts this in like 5 years' time, I promise you, I don't even exist. I'm not a real person, but that's my prediction right now.
What do you think, Charlotte?
I mean, I can't even disagree with Joyce's prediction. Like, Liverpool, I don't believe if they continue like they are not going to finish
Is
in
it all
top
frozen?
4. They're not going to finish in top 4.
Oh my god, am I frozen?
I think it'll be Man City, United. I think yeah, I agree with Joyce. I think it could be Leicester. But then again, to be fair, don't take this for granted. West Ham have been banging it out, to be fair. Like, they could take 4th place.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't know with this season. Like, and West Ham,
Gardinho.
I mean, they've bought Jesse Lingard, so heaven forbid. But no, I think Joyce has got the right idea. I don't think Liverpool are going to be finishing in. I don't think they're going to finish in top 4. No, they are. I think Liverpool are going to finish 5th.
Oh, that's interesting. What do you think, Jan?
Oh, well, Indiana thinks City, United, Chelsea, Leicester, and then Leicester 4, like Liverpool.
I think switch Leicester and Chelsea, because I think Chelsea have got more to catch up on than Leicester do. We're still growing, and we've got a new manager. Like, it's still kind of working things out. So I think I'll take 4th. If we get 3rd, I'm going to be over the bloody moon.
I think we get 3rd. The title is gone, but I think we get 3rd.
But I know we're going to get top 4. I don't know if it's 3rd or 4th, but I know that Leicester. I know
history as being a bottle job.
But I know 100% that Liverpool are getting 5th place, and that's a fact.
Yeah. Do you know what though? I think, like, ideally, I want United out of the top 4. Like, that would be ideal. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they've got too many good players in their squad. So I hope they don't finish 2nd. You know, I'm hoping someone kind of leapfrogs them, whatever it's called. But yeah, I think Leicester look quite strong. So I can't really see Leicester dropping out. I did predict originally that Spurs will get in the top 4 or Chelsea. But I don't know if Spurs will. They just don't look good enough. So we'll see what happens. I think it's still so close, isn't it? There's not that many points in it. I think Chelsea will only go up. I can see you just climbing the table now. So yeah, I do think it'll be City, United, Chelsea. Oh, it's hard. I would still say Liverpool, but Leicester look good right now. If it's based on current form, Leicester going over Liverpool all day.
I'm loving this misguided faith in Chelsea.
Literally.
I don't know. This season's a bit of a weird one, so I don't really know. But
literally anything is possible, and it is possible for Liverpool not to make Champions League.
Yeah.
It is possible for Liverpool not to make Champions League. And if you're turning up and getting beaten in your own house by Brighton, I don't really know how much that says, and Burnley. I don't know how much that says for you, hun, to be honest. Maybe it says, oh, we shouldn't be a football team anymore. We should just quit.
Oh, can we now just deep that Manchester United are now the only team to have not beaten a top 6 Premier League team side this season?
Oh.
Come on.
Yeah,
Hey,
these are the title contenders who can't get 3 points against the top 6 team. But okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought they would win the league because they're not.
Can we just ask United? Can we just ask United fans how they feel about Lambs' statement? Because when you're ready to come at us, do come at us, because we've actually beaten the.
We're second.
I mean, but where's your beating top 6? All you've got is 4 draws and 2 losses. Don't come for me. We have a win. We have that one.
The only goal that they scored as well was the penalty against Spurs on the last 6-1. That's bad.
I'm sorry. A win is a win. There have been so many matches where United have only got a draw because of a penalty. So they don't even want to come for me. Like,
Listen, Manchester United are the only team to have been awarded a penalty after the full-time whistle has gone.
True that. Yeah, so I think
Corruption.
last season it looked like Liverpool were like VAR's favourites, and this season it seems to be Man United. So it's a bit of a strange one. Indiana's replied. He said, "Lambs, we have to play you yet. Keep that energy."
I know. Because Indiana, we know it's coming soon.
Oh, good. Right, well, we'll wrap up there. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it across your socials. Charles, where can they find you?
You can find me on my own channel on Strong TV. Done my first video today. Lamb's part of it. So guys, go check it out. You can also find me on GNA TV on the Women's Show tomorrow at 8 p.m. You can find me on the Football Terrace tomorrow night at 9 p.m. With Kendall. Yeah. It's a big thing. Yeah, literally anywhere else.
Lambs, where can they find you?
On socials, I'm on Instagram, so that's my handle over there. It's Alamia Elmed. In terms of YouTube, I do show bits and bobs on this channel called What Now, so most Fridays. I'm also on GNA TV, with Charles and Joyce as well. So we'll be on tomorrow from 8 p.m. doing the Chelsea Ladies show. So that should be good. I'll also be on straight afterwards with Charles to be on Kendall's show on the Football Terrace. I'm also usually on the Football Terrace on the Midnight Vibe show as well. God, where else? Here and there on Monster CFC's stream. Have I covered them all, guys? I think so, yeah. That's it.
Joyce, where can they find you? She's frozen.
She's frozen.
Oh, you're back now. I can't tell. Things what's left.
Joyce.
Yeah.
Hello, Joyce.
Well, when she comes back, she can. You can follow her at Twitter. Her Twitter, which is below. You can find me on either here every week. Sarcasm City. I'm always on there. That's practically my channel now. I do have my own channel, but Sarcasm City because it's basically my channel. So yeah, I think Joyce is gone, so I don't think we'll be able to get her. But yeah, follow her on Twitter at @eljoyce_. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching.